Good morning, afternoon, or evening.
A very present well day to you. See, I can't speak now. My mouth's all... I need a mouthwash. I don't know. I've got cramp at the tongue now.
Oh, my gosh. I can't. It's like Tuesday morning already. I can't believe it. It was one of those mornings where I woke up and I jolted up like at my normal time because now I'm on an hour later. And I was like, oh, my gosh, what day is it? What time is it? And it was like one of those surreal moments where you're out of body experience. And I was like thinking I missed the whole entire show.
Well, now you've got time to cook the lunch with that extra hour, haven't you? Don't muck about. Don't waste it. Don't be sitting there in bed thinking, what do I do? And looking at the wallpaper thinking, that needs changing. That needs coming down. I'm going to redo this colour. I can't be doing with it. It's driving me up the wall.
Right. No, I did it. It's good. I'm excited because Shae Mcmaster is here with me today. And so Dave, Shae, Dave.
Nice to meet you, Shae. How are you?
Good. How are you doing? Thanks for having me on.
You're very welcome, pal. You're very welcome. Apparently in the States at the moment, haven't you had a load of snow there at the moment?
Yes, we have a little bit here. It's winter's finally kicking in. We've had a pretty mild winter, but it's kicking in now. So.
Is it? Lovely. Well, I'm sat here in my thong and my flip-flops and my thick hiking socks, so I'm just in a balaclava. So I'm just I'm waiting for something to happen at this end. It's a bit grey and windy, but it's undecided at the moment, so I'm just covering all bases for what's going to happen.
Oh, Dave, I just had a picture that now I can't get out of my head. Oh my God.
It's lovely. I'm telling you now. Don't knock the Germans. They've got the right idea. When they put towels on sunbeds next to a swimming pool, at least they thought, right, well, if it's going to be sunny, we'll be there first. If it rains, I don't give a flying hoot. At least my towel gets washed.
I like that.
Okay, so Dave, I do have to ask a favor today. Just like when I had Luke on, like when Shae and I get to talking, I kind of lose a little bit of track of time. So again, if you notice that I keep blabbing my pie hole,
have I got to give you a time check? Like at the third stroke, it'll be 12:30.
Right. Right.
Like that. You want me to do it like that for you? It's like a submarine. Imagine being in a submarine and someone's got a talking clock in there, and you've got.
Oh God, that's a good sound effect. Yeah, we're gonna potentially.
I could do better ones than that. I can do a plane taking off.
Oh my gosh.
There you go. Anything else? Anything else? A dog in heat? I can do a dog in heat. Get down off that dog, will you? For Christ's sake! There you go. That's a good one.
Oh. And the morning is off for us. The afternoon is off for you. So let's get rolling with Shae. I met Shae probably about 3 months ago. We got connected through Luke Frazier, who was on a few months ago. And Shae and I have got to know each other, and I wanted to bring Shae on because he has this amazing energy, amazing story, amazing message, and this amazing entrepreneurial attitude. And so I wanted to bring him on and share him with all of our listeners today. So, Shae, can you introduce yourself a little bit and tell us a little bit about you and where you're from and where you're coming from this morning?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Shae Mcmaster. I am a small-town kid from the middle of Nebraska in the United States. It's a very small town is where I came from. It was like a population of about 800. High school is very small, but luckily I found the world of the internet and podcasts and started to expand my brain a little bit and started to get in touch with people like yourself and Luke and some other people from some different podcasts out there doing good stuff, and sent me on a pretty crazy journey that I think we're going to get into today. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah. So what is the small town of 800? Because I thought I was in a small town growing up of about, 10,000 people, but 800 is like family.
Yeah, it's really small. It's called Doniphan, Nebraska. It is located right next to a feedlot, and that is a good representation of the town for me. Did not like it. Smelled bad, so it makes you drive right past it, and that's perfect because there's not much there at all. There's a school, like 3 or 4 churches, and a couple bars, and that's about it.
I'm just thinking, actually, 800 people is a bus in India. That's how many people can get on it over there.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen shows like that.
Isn't that crazy? Like, just like, and Shae's not that old. He's still a young young person, and to still think that there are places in, the world that are small towns like that is crazy, because the population just keeps booming and booming. The town that I grew up in is now like almost 95,000 people, and I'm not that old. I mean, I'm older, but I'm not that old.
Is that because you've left now that the population's gone up through the roof? And they've all gone, yay, happy days. And they're all bang at it now, trying to get the population up through the roof. Fill up the houses so she can't come back, for Christ's sake. Don't want to buy in any real estate.
Oh, my God. Dave, that's so true about, well, it's not because I left, because I'm here, but the house prices have, skyrocketed across Colorado. It's insane. But that's a whole
Get a caravan,
topic.
That's what I say. Get a caravan or a mobile home.
Right.
I like it. Easy.
Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit about that whole small town piece in a little bit. And so we're going to go to a quick song, and we're going to do the brand new single, Westlife's Hello, My Love, and we'll be back in a moment. Oh, I have a new band I love.
Do you like them?
I do like them very, very much.
See, I'll send you all the music over to you'll be speaking Irish by the time you finish listening to them. Everything will be top of the morning, grand and smashing. Absolutely, everything's great, grand.
Everything's great. You know what's interesting is my grandfather told my whole entire dad's side of the family that we were from Ireland, that his family came over from Ireland. So we were like, yes, because my maiden name is Ryan. So I was like, yes, we're Irish. And then my dad did that whole ancestry thing. Nope, not even.
Nothing like it.
Much
Nowhere near it.
No.
I've got to tell you a quick story. Well, it's not a story, just very quickly. About a couple of years ago, I was over in Dublin, and while I was in this car, I was sat at traffic lights, and I don't normally drink, and I'd had a couple of Guinnesses, you see, with these lads that had taken me out for a drink.
Oh boy!
And across the road was a dwarf. Now that was just food and drink to me, because as soon as I saw this poor bloke, this dwarf on the other side of the road, I'm shouting out the window, Jesus, there's a dwarf, there's a leprechaun in Ireland, it's the first one I've seen, which then caused chaos at the side of the road. Everyone's like, what on earth's he on about? Nobody knew what I was shouting about, and I'm going, over there, look, and this poor bloke's stood there with a Frenchman with his arms in the air and his shoulders up.
Probably telling you off.
He just stood there, this little guy, this dwarf, and he had a smile on his face. He just looked at me, and I'm going, quality. I said, it's the first leprechaun I've seen. I said, it's my first time in Ireland. I said, how good is that? It's like seeing a four-leaf clover.
Oh, my God.
Oh, Dave.
Anyway,
on
that note, I'll be quiet. I'll put my feet on the desk, and I'll put my hands behind my head.
Okay, because this is going to be a great segment here. So I always like to give people some time to share their story, because everyone has a story, and yours matters, Shae. So I want to give you a little bit of due diligence. So tell us a little bit about you and your story, and what you do and why you do it.
Yeah, so I guess it all started way back in high school, junior high school, so 7th, 8th grade. I was a very unhealthy kid, allergic to everything, skinny fat, had asthma, just very unhealthy. I got picked on a lot. And then, that was just kind of normal stuff for a kid, but then it kept getting worse and worse and worse. Couldn't get home from school without getting jumped by 3 or 4 dudes, getting beat up. Some ice balls thrown at your face with gravel in it instead of snowballs, and it's just an everyday thing. And then I lost my mother to suicide when I was 15. And I have 3 younger siblings, so it was my dad, myself, and then my 3 younger siblings all left. And that just kind of sent me down this crazy road. I started working out. That's the only place I could really find solace, was in the weight room. So I started working out all the time. It just made me feel less angry. And then I started to dive into the benefits mentally, obviously physically, with nutrition, and then some of the stuff that's tied into depression that's actually coming out now in research. So at the time, there wasn't even any research on this, not much that I was aware of at the time, about how much hard exercise can positively affect the symptoms of depression and anxiety. And I started diving hard into that, and then I started listening to podcasts, Joe Rogan's podcast, Jocko's podcast, Tim Ferriss, all those guys, Luke's, the Y blog. I started listening to all that stuff. And then I would talk to anybody about it that I could, about fitness and nutrition. And I realized this is probably what I'm going to do with my life because it's helped me so much. And then I just had this nagging sense of I have to help other people versus I've had the normal jobs. I've had the sit at the desk job. I've had the salary jobs. I've had the, hourly jobs, just tried everything. None of them felt like I was living up to my potential because I didn't feel I was truly helping people in the way that I could. So that led me down the strength conditioning path of figuring out, okay, how am I going to make this my career? What am I going to do? And it was a pretty bleak future ahead of me. It was either go get my master's degree and then try to work at a high school or collegiate level, still having a boss, which I didn't like. And that's some other stuff about not being under anybody's thumb. But it actually led me to open my own facility. So I actually opened my own facility now. We hold yoga classes. We do breath work. We do meditation, as well as group fitness classes. We do nutrition and lifestyle challenges to get people to sleep a little bit better, to eat a little bit better, to drink more water, to stretch, to meditate, to reflect on the day. So I'm basically trying to take what looks on the surface like a gym and create a community that runs so deep that it actually affects everybody's whole life, not just their fitness, right? It actually makes them more mentally healthy as well. So we're trying to promote that style of living through Enlightened Athlete, which is my gym.
That's fantastic. So going back to when you first discovered this, moving your body, working out, doing hardcore stuff, do you remember like what called you to do that? Or did you you were just so desperate that you would try anything? Do you remember that?
I think, my dad had lifted weights. We had some weights in the basement. I was never really concerned with it at all. I think it was just, I started seeing some of the guys, on TV, the athletes. I was more of a kid who watched like Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon and Digimon and all that stuff. I was a nerd. Still am a nerd, just in a different way, but I wasn't interested in any of that at all. And then, I think one day I just went down there and started lifting some weights and realized like, hey, you know what? I am really tired. I don't feel so worried or angry or upset about whatever it was that was bothering me. When I work that out, my body feels better. It's like a battery that can get overcharged and you have to let some of that energy off. Otherwise you just feel like manic,
Did you find yourself connecting with people at the gym and like having conversations, or were you pretty like a solo dude working out in a small town?
So in the beginning, it was super duper solo. I mean, there was one guy, Mitch. I still remember Mitch. Started talking to him, but it was about a year after. So I lived right down the street from the school that I went to high school at, and they redid this weight room, and it was actually a really sweet weight room. And you could get a fob, and I could go in there anytime I wanted. So I just remember walking down there during snowstorms. I would just walk to the gym like I'm not doing anything. Like nothing would keep me from the gym. I would walk during rain, snow, whatever, middle of the night, super early morning. Most of the time I was in there by myself, so I had this huge weight room by myself. But then I started to meet a couple people. And then it wasn't till probably early college, where I started to actually be willing to talk to people in the gym. I was such a solitary guy for a long time. But then I made some great connections, and that's kind of been the goal from here on out.
Yeah. Did you find yourself needing to talk about like your past what happened with your mom, like in the gym, or did you seek that outside of the gym?
Yeah, I did not talk about that at all. I think that's one thing that I could have done differently was even seek out maybe a therapist or something like that. I didn't do that at all. I literally just bottled everything up, not healthy. Because I've had to deal with that stuff now. Literally the last 6 months even, I went to somebody and I did some EMDR is what it's called. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that was one of the most powerful things that I have done for myself, and I wish I would have done it a long time ago because I had tried to internalize and just understand everything that happened to me, and I internalized some of these self-limiting beliefs so strongly that I would hear myself saying in my head, you're worthless, you're a loser, you're not worth anything, you are not ever going to amount to anything, you're just a failure, everything you do is going to be a failure forever. And I was talking to the therapist that I went to see, and, I would call her almost more of a performance coach than a therapist because she understood, she's like, this stuff is this is, you know what you need to do. We're just going to give you the tools to get it done. Mm-hmm. And I remember, I mean, I had a pretty sketchy relationship with my dad through this whole process. Got kicked out when I was 19. And I thought it was him saying that stuff to me, because he said it to me a lot as I was growing up. I mean, and that's okay. That's how he was dealing with it. He was dealing with his own things. So that's how it is. But we sat there and talked about it, and I realized, oh, it's me saying it. I can hear myself saying it. And she goes, you've internalized it, you know? Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I did. Okay. So we went through and we did the EMDR. And I remember you have to work yourself up into this state of high anxiety or whatever feelings that you get from the things that are happening to you, from the trauma, the traumatic experiences. So I got myself all worked up. We're going through and doing it. And then I lost the feeling. Like, the feeling went away. And I was like, oh, I messed it up. Of course, my first reaction, oh, I messed it up. And then I realized, oh, it's gone. Those feelings are gone. And, like, my eyes started welling up with tears. It felt like this huge weight had been lifted off my back that I've been carrying around for the last 12, 13 years. It was like, oh, it's done. It's gone. I don't have to think that way anymore. So, yeah.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's really empowering for people to hear that, you know, just because you didn't, you know, do it right then in the moment. And because, you know, like everyone's like, talk about things and do this. And, you know, it's okay to you know, do that. But, you know, it can get better, and it will get better if you focus on it. So I want to take another quick break, and when we come back, I want to jump more into some mindset stuff. And again, if anyone has any questions or some feedback for Shae or I, you can email Dave. Dave, can you tell them the email address again?
expatradio.fr@gmail.com.
Thank you. And we're going to go out to Michael Jackson, Liberian Girl, and we'll be right back.
Sure. Right, we're going back live to Christine this morning.
Oh my gosh, I don't know that I've ever heard that song, Dave.
Good, that, isn't it, eh?
Yeah, I thought I was a Michael Jackson fan. I've been schooled.
It's a quality tune for training to. I train to that. It's what Shae was talking about before, about the training and getting on a weights bench. It's one of the best things in the world for clearing your head. If you've got any worries in the world, just get on a weights bench and just start training dead quick, and then all of a sudden you're like, what's
it changes your physiology, yeah.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. It releases what is it called now? I can't remember is it the endorphins or something it releases in your brain it's just, I mean, I've trained I've had a bench since I was 13. So it just completely, you know, if you're hyper, if you're if you're overthinking about things and you're stressing out, seriously, anyone that's out there, you can pick a bench up, a small loose weights bench, or get a multi-gym. They're not daft money. And you can put it in your garage if you've not got much room wherever you're living. But even put it outside, but put a cover over it. But just get one, and you'll find the benefits of it, of actually getting it. Or go to Shae's gym. If you're near where he is, go to the gym, and you'll feel the benefits of it straight away.
Yeah. You know, it's awesome that you say that, and like the endorphins and stuff, because one of the conversations that Shae, like I kind of had with Shae in the beginning, was he had posted something on Instagram, and he was talking about, I don't even remember what it was, but they were like all these big fancy words, and I was like, are you speaking English? And I don't even remember what you said, but I laughed. He's like, it's like a geek speak for like working out and all these nutrition and fitness and all this. And I was like, well, it's flipping fantastic. So I did have a question. Somebody messaged me a question. My friend Chrissy, who was on the show just a few weeks ago, she teaches young people in high school physical education. And her question for you, Shae, is as you started changing and bringing fitness into your life, what was the reaction of the people that, you know, bullied you or threw snowballs at you or just picked on you? What was their reaction when they saw you actually doing something good?
Yeah, initially so what happened actually was I went back, so I spent the whole summer off. I started running around the town without a shirt on so I could get tan. I grew my hair super long, and I started working out super hard. So when I actually went back to school the next year, nobody even knew who I was. They thought I was a new kid. And I had gained so much self-confidence through the weight training, and I just carried myself differently. So even when, you know, they didn't know who I was until they came up and they talked to me, and I'd say, hey, you remember me? You know, I was so much more confident. I could stand up for myself that immediately all those bullies, bullies typically are miserable people. They have something wrong in their life, or they're getting bullied by somebody else, so then they're taking it out on the weak person. But just being able to carry myself with a different attitude shut them down immediately. I mean, I literally had almost no problems coming back that next year to school, because if I did, I was confident enough in myself to say, hey, we're going to knock this off. This is not happening anymore. And it changed the whole game for me, because then I was not having to worry about every day after school, God, am I going to make it home today without getting beat up again? Right. It was, when I saw them, I would look them dead in the eye, because I was confident in myself at that point, and people can pick up on that, and then it's over. Yeah. So that really stopped the whole thing right there.
I've got to say, there's so much in common with what he's gone through there with his school, which I didn't so much get bullied, but people that, because I was only small at school, and I didn't probably grow till I was about 17 or 18. But when I was 13, I always remember, like, other kids, there was, when I was in the football teams or whatever, I was good at what I did, but I was small, so people used to knock me flying. And I remember one day I was playing rugby, and I was told to tackle this lad called David Housley, who was the biggest lad in the school. He was enormous. He was just when he ran towards you, it was like a loose bull had got out. He was that big. I thought, oh my God, I've got to tackle this guy. It's not like American football, you got a helmet on, and all the padding. Back that, it was freezing cold, rain coming down. The pitch was wet through, and you're thinking, I don't want to fall on the floor here. We're going to get wet through. And I remember tackling this lad and getting dragged about 14 yards before I brought him down, because I had to slide down his legs, and he just literally tripped up. It wasn't because I had brought him down, basically. But everybody was kind of so much bigger than me at school. And then when I was 13, I got this weights bench, like I was saying. My dad had got me the bench just for me to train on for the football, and because I'd started playing a lot more golf. So I was hitting the ball a lot further. Within 12 months, I was hitting the ball further than the lads the same age as me, because I had this bench, but nobody knew. Then when as I started growing, as my height started growing, now I'm 6 foot. But back then, I was small. And lads that we had a reunion from school, it'd be about 15. It was before I moved over here, so it was about 16, 17 years ago. And no one knew who I was from school when I went back and I met everybody. Yep. Everyone was like, who the hell are you? And he's one of them, because it was
satisfying in a weird way.
Oh, it's unbelievable. I mean, the lads that used to think they were the bee's knees and everything, you see them now, they look about 80. They got beer bellies on them, they've got double chins, they look horrendous, and you see, you look at yourself, you see people like that where they've got low self-esteem now, and they're permanently miserable, and everything's a problem, and you just think, get a life,
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's amazing how that works, and how you can have that mindset. And so, getting back to that, you and I had a conversation last week prior to the show, and we kind of talked about how, growing up in where you have your gym now, you always envisioned yourself like doing something downtown Hastings, Nebraska, and particularly in the building that you actually have your gym in now. And, going through some of the things that you went through in your experience, most people would have left and said, bye, I'm done, I'm going to go move on. But you stayed. Like, how did you decide, like, this is where you wanted to be and where you wanted to grow your business and keep growing yourself and your community?
Yeah, so originally the idea was just downtown somewhere. I remember traveling to places, and I was in such a miserable place in my life after my mom had passed, and the relationship with my dad was so terrible that I just thought I was concocting this imaginary life, thinking, wow, that would be fantastic if I had this, because I just thought downtown areas were so cool. They're just hustling and bustling, and they've got all these lights and these cool restaurants, and there's people all the time, and it's just going and busy, and I just feel like everybody's getting stuff done. That's what I was thinking in my little 16-year-old head, like, oh, I'm just going to be a busy businessman someday. And it just so happened that, I found my now wife. We've been together for like 12 years now. So I met her. I had a job lined up in Venice, California. My uncle runs an air conditioning company out there. And I had a job lined up the day after I graduated. I was going to move out to California. I had that set up in like my sophomore year, so like 10th grade. So 2 years earlier, I had it set up to move out to California. But then I met my now wife, and I was like, well, I am never leaving her. So whatever she wants to do is what I'm going to do. And her family was so helpful to me during that time. They were willing to let me move in. I mean, they would do anything to help me out, and they still do. So I got so close to her family, and obviously we're married now. We have a kid on the way. So it's like, I'm going to stay here and make this work. And then we moved to Omaha for 2 years. We both had an internship. She had an internship at Children's Hospital, and then I had an internship at a really big gym, and got some great experience there and learned so much stuff about running the back end of the gym, how to teach classes a little bit better. How I was always on machines and stuff when I was training before, but I learned how to kind of use the body as the machine and get rid of some of the machines. So that's pretty powerful for me, and that's how I run my gym now. But I stayed because of my wife, and I listened to the book The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. And everybody was telling me, I realized I didn't want to stay in Omaha. I didn't have any friends or family there. We wanted to buy a house and obviously have a kid, so we moved back here to Hastings. And everybody was saying, you're never going to be able to open a gym. There's not enough people. There's too many gyms already, blah, blah, blah. There's always excuses. Every time I say something or anybody says they're going to do anything, people are so quick to tell you why it's not going to work. And that drives me up the wall, because it's like there's a million ways why it could work. But this person is so used to shutting themselves down or shutting other people down, it's just easy for them to say, well, that's never going to work. Well, if you listen to that book, it says, think about what the problem is, present yourself with the problem, and then most of the time you can use that problem as the way. So the obstacle was, oh, that's never going to work. That's, there's too many gyms here, blah, 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 blah. And then I thought, okay, it's Hastings. It's small enough. People already know that I'm into fitness because I've been doing it all through high school and college. And nobody is going to be doing what I'm doing at the level that I'm going to be doing it at. So I said, okay, it seems like a problem up front, but it's actually good because there's a lot of other gyms that aren't doing what I'm going to be doing, and they're not me. So I knew if I came back and I hit it full force, hit the social media, marketed, helped everybody that I could. I do a lot of stuff for free still just to get people in to help them out. And then they tell 5 people, and it's just growing and it's working, and it worked exactly like I saw it working, and I still can't believe it. Sometimes when I stop and look, like, oh my gosh, I have my own spot that I did. I made this spot. Just knowing that the obstacle is the way. That's kind of how I looked about it, and that's what made me take the leap initially into starting the gym. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. And congratulations. I didn't know that you and your wife were expecting. That's fantastic news.
Thank
Yay.
you.
That's really exciting.
It makes me nervous.
I'm sure. I'm not a mom, so I can't imagine how that is, but that's so exciting for the two of you. So we have about 15 minutes left. We're going to go to a song, and then I'll come back and ask you a couple questions that I ask everyone on the show. So we're going to go out, of course, Justin Timberlake and Chris Stapleton, who are two of my favorite people. Say anything, and we'll be right back.
Singing me out to that behind the scenes here. Hope the microphone wasn't on. I can't sing to save my life. Sounds like I've been run over.
I love that collaboration.
Isn't it good, that?
Yes.
Very
oh, my
nice,
gosh.
That. Laurel and Hardy. Yeah, it's what Chris Stapleton's thinking of, what's growing in his beard, I've no idea, but he needs to get that off his face, doesn't he? Well, imagine all the enzymes, all the bacteria that's growing on your face, and then you have all that thing hanging down like that. You don't even know what's on his neck. Ugh.
Can't be good.
Oh my gosh! My mom. I always talk to her about the people, the musicians and things that I like, and they all seem to have like these long beards, and she's like, I just don't understand that. No. I don't understand why they have to do that. They look so grungy. And I was like, Mom, it's just a thing. It's just a thing.
Don't get it. Well, the thing is, he could have a soap on a rope under there, and you'd never know it was there, would you? He could have anything hanging out. You could walk through customs at an airport and have something. You could have another bag underneath your chin, and no one would know.
True. Very true.
You got anything to declare? And you're there, yes, I've just got, no, I haven't. No, it's all right. I'm trying to get through here. Don't worry. And you're there walking. You look like you've, been hit on the head and your shoulders can't move. And there's a suitcase under your chin. Nobody knows it.
Pops right out.
Yeah. That's me sorted. When the taxi driver gets out of you, when you walk out of the terminal at the doors and a taxi driver says, would you like a taxi? Yeah. Oh, have you only got the one bag? No, you check this out under here. I've got two under here. I've got one under this, one under my neck here and one under me, behind my ear roll. But no, I don't get it. I don't get this hairy thing going on. Ugh.
Yeah, it's a trend. It's definitely a trend.
Yes.
Yeah. So we just have like 10-ish minutes. Little less than that. So I have just a few questions. Usually I ask a series of questions. We've had such a great show. We might not get to all of them today, but one of the questions I love to ask people that come on the show with me and share some space with me is, who inspires you the most and why, Shae?
Boy, I've got a long list of people I could say. The first one, honestly, is my little brother, Christian. He went through some of the similar stuff I did, obviously, and now he is one of the youngest video editors, full-time video editors for an automotive YouTube channel called 1320. And he's got his own YouTube channel, One Way. He is a wizard with the camera, graphic design, video editing, audio editing, all that stuff, and he's completely self-taught. He's out there making his way in the world kind of the same way I am, and I look up to him. I know he looks up to me too. He has told me that so many times, but it's the same for him. I love that kid. We text almost every day. He actually lives in Omaha, where I used to live. It's about 2.5, 3 hours away. So we talk all the time, and I just love what he's doing, and I'm so proud of him. And it almost brings tears to my eyes because I just have watched him grow up. Now I see him doing this, and it's fantastic. But, I mean, so many people out there. Bruce Lee. I love his philosophy. I listen to Joe Rogan all the time, Cameron Haynes, Jocko Willing, Tim Ferriss, Wim Hof, Ryan Holiday, just so many good people out there. Luke Frazier. I love all those people. Those people bring me joy. They inspire me to do more when I feel bad, when I feel sad, beat up, tired. I still struggle with depression sometimes and anxiety. It's like I turn to those people, and you usually hear what you need to hear when you need it. It's funny how that stuff works out sometimes. It's kind of, if you set yourself up for success and set yourself up to surround your brain and your mind with things like that, those people's podcasts and good books and people like yourself, and just keep that around you. When you are down and out, you're going to find something to help pick you back up and keep you moving. And that's what I'm doing.
That's awesome. So we're not going to get to all the questions today, but we're going to do a live follow-up on my Facebook page on Thursday. So if people want to seek myself out, or Shae Mcmaster will tell you how to get a hold of both of us, we'll get to these questions that we're not going to get to today on that live. But how can people follow you? Where can they find you and follow your content? You have amazing content.
Thank you. So we have Facebook and Instagram. It's called Enlightened Athlete. The website is just enlightenedathlete.com. It's at Enlightened Athlete on Facebook and Instagram. Try to keep it the same across there. That's where I'm most active. Probably a little bit on Twitter. Not so much, though. So Facebook and Instagram are the main ones, the website. And then we're actually going to be rolling out online personal training for the first time ever. 2019, that was one of the big goals I had set at the end of 2018. So I'm going to be able to help people from all over the world, hopefully. I live in a pretty small town in Nebraska, so I want to be able to reach more people. So we're going to open up online personal training and work in some of the mental and emotional side of stuff with the physical training as well. So
Awesome. So if you guys want to, find Shae on social media, find me at Christine Saunders, or on Instagram at Follow Your Whole Heart. We can hook you up with our Facebook Live on Thursday. And we are out of time today. Thank you, Dave, for having us. It was amazing. And we're going to go out to you too. Ordinary Love. Have a great week, everyone.
And you guys. And we'll get Shae on another day as well. Not a problem.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, pal. Nice to speak to you, and we'll speak to you soon.